This is Inventor Tutorial 1 for 2017-18. Our learning objectives are: number 1, to understand and apply the concept of project geometry. Number 2, to understand and apply the concept of dimensioning and locating a feature. And number 3, understand and use a multi-view drawing for parts of uniform thickness. So this is a part that was used in the CAD assembly for our pick-and-place robot. And as you can see, it's 3 inches wide and 1.7 inches in height, and it's a rectangle. And this note here tells us that it's a plate of thickness 0.25 inches. So since it's a plate, with this note here, we can get by with just one view on this multi-view drawing. Now notice also that there's a circle on the plate, and in order to put that circle on there, we need to do two things. Number 1, we need to dimension it, and we can see here that it's a circle of diameter 0.5 inches, and it's a through hole. And in addition to dimensioning it, we need to locate it on the part, and we see here that it is located as 1.5 inches from the left side and 0.85 inches from the top. So that means that it's centered on this rectangular plate. Okay, we're going to use those two concepts from the previous slide, project geometry and dimensioning and locating a feature, when we make this part. Let's go make it. First thing I'm going to do is make sure my project situation is set up. So I'm going to go to the big I in Options, go to the File tab, and confirm that the Folders project says Z:\Inventor\, and it does. And I'm going to go up to the projects icon on the launch panel, and I am going to make a new project, single user project, and I'm going to call that Tutorial 1. Actually, I'm going to call that project Plate. So finish, OK, and you can see that Plate is the active project. Now I'm ready to go. If I want to confirm that I set that up correctly, I can go to File Explorer and double click on the icon of the computer if you don't see this stuff here, and then double click on my Z drive. That'll be the one that always has your login here. And you should have an Inventor folder here. And in that Inventor folder, you should have the name of the project you just made. And I think we called that Plate. There it is. And in that folder, you should have a project file called Plate. So if I drag the header over here, you can see that I have a project file called Plate. So everything looks good with respect to making the project. Let's make the part. Now there's an icon up here on the quick access toolbar that I like to use. It's got a drop down here, and I can choose any of the 4 types of parts. Occasionally this is not the best route to go, but for just making a single part, it's fine. So here at this point, we want to just start a 2-dimensional sketch. I'm going to select the XY plane. I'm going to hold down the scroll wheel and move over the origin to the lower left because I want to work in the first quadrant with this rectangle. So go up to the rectangle on the Create panel, and I'm going to move the lower left corner of the rectangle right over until it pops green, and that means that I have what's called a coincident constraint to the origin. So I left click, and I'm going to pull out here, and I've got 3 inches here, if you'll recall. Now I'm going to use the scroll wheel to back out a bit, and now I tabbed over to get to the height dimension, and now I've got a 3-inch wide by 1.7 inch high rectangle. So let me left click, right click, OK. And it's dark blue, so it's fully constrained, and it says so right down here in the lower right. It's fully constrained because I've got the dimensions on it, 3 inches by 1.7 inches, and I'll also located it. So I've located it with respect to the origin by pinning it here with that coincident constraint. Had I made the rectangle out here in space, not at the origin, it would have remained green and it would have said one need one dimension or something like that. I forget exactly what it is. But now we've got a fully constrained sketch. So let me finish that sketch, and it moves over to the side for some reason. Hit the little house up here near the view cube, and it comes into view. So let's extrude. There's only one closed geometry in the sketch, so it's going to just automatically extrude it. I'm going to go the other direction, and if we recall, that's 0.25 inches. And there it is. Okay, now I've got my rectangular slab of width 3 inches, height 1.7 inches, and thickness 0.25 inches. Now I need to put the hole on there. This is where we're going to use two concepts, project geometry and the concept of locating and dimensioning a feature on a part. So I continue the loop by creating a sketch on this face, hold down the scroll wheel, move over in this direction here to center it. Now, I have a sketch plane that's on the face of this plate. It's kind of hard to see, but there you go. You can see that there's a sketch plane on that front face. Now, I can use a view cube to make it look at the front again. Okay. I want to use these edges in my sketch, and right now by default Inventor doesn't allow you to use those, but it's easy to get them back. It's called project geometry. So we'll go up to the create panel and click right here, and we're going to project the geometry that we click up onto our sketch plane, and it'll be yellow like that. I'm left clicking here. Now right click OK, and now I can use that information to help me center that hole. So I'm going to go up here to the circle icon, and I'm going to move it around, and you'll notice that since I projected that geometry up onto my sketch plane, there's some information that I can use that Inventor will help me with. You can see that little dashed line. I can move around until I reach the center, like right there. That's the center, but I'm going to do it a different way. I'm just going to arbitrarily put this circle right there, and you can see that it's green, which means it's unconstrained. And if you go down to the lower right here, you'll see that 3 dimensions are needed. We need to locate the center of this thing with respect to some place on the plate, and we also need to dimension the circle. In other words, its diameter. Let's locate it first. So to do that, we're going to come to the Constraint panel and click the Dimension icon, and I'm going to click in the center here, and then over on the left side here, pull up, and I think that was, what was that, 1.5? Okay. And now I'm again going to click in the center here, and I'm going to go up to the top and pull over here, and I'm going to put 0.85, I think it was. And now I've got this thing centered because I know that the width is 3 and the height is 1.7. The only thing I'm missing, the thing that will turn this green unconstrained sketch to a fully constrained sketch, which will turn dark blue, is the dimension or diameter of the circle. So I'm going to click the dimension button again, click on the circle, pull out, and specify the diameter, 0.5. And now you can see that it turns dark blue. That means it's fully constrained. It says so down at the right corner here. Finish the sketch. Extrude, select the feature. Now here, instead of making something that increases the size of the part, I want to what's called cut. So if I come over here to the extrude dialog box, if I hover here it says join. If I hover here it says cut. If I hover here it says intersect. We're going to use cut. So if I can click cut and it'll make a hole there. And in the extents, I can't keep the distance as 0.25. If I made it say 0.1, it would make a more shallow hole. But what we can also do is on this drop down just do all, and that will take it out completely. And there's our part. And we can click up here in the view cube, the front panel, and you can see that there it is. Now, to confirm that we've got the dimensions right, normally we would make a dimension drawing of this. We'll get to that later. We won't do that now, but it's worth going back and reviewing what we have done. So we used project geometry to project the perimeter of that rectangle up onto our sketch plane so we could use that information. I didn't actually use it when I made the part, but I could have when I was moving the cursor around in the center, and the little dotted line showed me where the exact center was. So that's where project geometry helped us. And also I did use it because I used the edge to dimension, or sorry, to locate the hole. Okay, and I hope you understood the concept of dimensioning and locating. So the hole, in order to make it, I had to define its size, in other words, dimension it, and I also had to locate it with respect to some reference point on the plate. Okay, that'll be it for tutorial 1.